Quad the Menace. And I'm Jerry Lee III.
Guys, we made it down to Graceland. We went to Sun Studios and we had to keep the 50s rock in our hearts on our channel, and what better place to go to than right here.
Jerry Lee Lewis's ranch. The killer himself.
Pioneer of great rock and roll. One of the best piano players. Would you say he topped Beethoven and Mozart?
Yeah, man, there's an article a guy named Jules Holland did, like the best piano players of all time, right? And Dad's #1 over Mozart and Beethoven.
I am one of the best piano players in the world. Probably the best.
We're about to go into this legend's house. From the ceiling to the floor, just cut it from this man's greatness and achievements. So, Lee, you know what time it is?
Let's do this thing.
Let's do that.
Back when we first used to do tours, like the late 90s, early 2000s, especially when my dad had a lot more cars, this was the Killer Car Collection. My mother had put a sign up for it, and we had a lot of my dad's cars in here. Some of them are still there, like his 35 Ford Super Deluxe, flathead engine in it. The engine's worth more than the car, but
I'm a car junkie. Other than doing this, I'm a mechanic. So.
Yeah, man, so you know about a flathead engine.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Lee.
I lost it.
Can we walk down this?
Yeah, absolutely. If you'd like to, there's a really great shot too. Like along the lake once we get down there. You just gotta watch your feet. We have a lot of geese around here.
And you got one more on the property too.
Yeah, goose.
Goose way! Yeah, boy! So where are we heading now?
Looks like we're headed closer to our fishing dock where we like to fish off of sometimes.
You got some good big fish in here, man?
And catfish, brim, bass, crappie.
Would you let me come fishing?
Absolutely, but you gotta remember there's only one rule to the lake when it comes to fishing.
What?
You gotta throw them all back. My dad is very conscientious of his fish. He gets a little salty when people try to pull fish out of it. He's a good fisherman. Usually he'll tell you how bad you're doing while he's pulling them out, so.
I'm okay with that.
I guess Spice wants to get schooled by your dad on how to fish.
That would be amazing.
Now I won't take us all the way to the dock because as you can see, it has seen better days. But when you look out right here, there's not much prettier to me than this.
Bad Savage Squad.
Yeah, we used to rip jet skis through it all the time.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh man.
Right?
There's this really great photo of me too, like, especially if you've seen Eastbound and Down where I look like Kenny Powers. I got this long hair.
It's just great balls of fire.
What's that all the way down there at the end?
Where the fence is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our neighbor's property. We got Rogers on one side and Kenny's on the other side. Let's see, where's our little boat? I don't see it right now. We have a little paddle boat that literally, it goes on an adventure. It'll wind up in their yard, it'll go back to their yard, then it comes back to ours. And over there where the brick is, that's where we would launch the jet skis off of.
I'm just saying, we'll drive back down to swim, get on a boat, and fish with your dad.
Well, let's make it happen.
Right?
Drink you a bottle of Hennessy, I usually win.
He's already calling us.
I think I've already decided that y'all are my cousins. Why they actually are on, I think I'm just gonna go with that. Family's allowed to fish on the property. Yeah, well, Colonel Reb's been retired for a while now. I think Ole Miss are the Bears now. We're the Land Sharks, or maybe they're the Land Sharks and we're the Bears. I don't know.
Look at that.
How often do you guys have people just stop outside the gate? More often than I can tell you. I've had somebody we found somebody sleeping in the storage room one time.
Oh
Find me
no.
sleeping on your swing.
Yep, see, so now the storage room, now the swing.
Just when you come out, just make sure like there's no bugs on me before I wake up.
Okay, we'll give you some bug spray because it gets a little buggy out here at night.
Okay.
Imagine it gets pitch black out here too.
Yes, it
But I
does.
bet you could see the stars so
It's beautiful.
vividly.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, crow down there just chilling.
That's the country music trail marker right behind you.
Really?
The top of it, yeah. That was dedicated, December of this past year. Me and Marty Stewart worked on it for about 2 years. We worked on it to get the country music trail dedicated to Dad so that he'd be on that list of people. Because I mean, everybody knows him for his rock and roll, right? But to me, there's tons of important people in country music, but my dad's got to be one of the most important, at least to me.
To be
Soul,
able to hit
R&B,
all of
blues.
that
Yeah.
and do so well with it, that is raw talent.
One of
that not
my
a lot
dad's
people
favorite
have.
things to tell people is, well, James Brown kissed me on the cheek, top that.
It's not
I'm
toppable.
sitting here rocking in a chair with the Killer's son. Top that.
That's close. That's close.
You guys can chase your dreams and follow them. All you gotta do is just want to do it and don't give up.
Amen to that. I know my dad did.
No, your dad does not have a give up bone in his body.
Dude, he doesn't even know what that word means.
I just love to play and sing.
Should we take our shoes off?
No, man, you don't have to take your shoes off. This carpet has been here since the 70s. If it was going to get beat up, that would have happened a long time ago.
That is the most cushy.
I'm about to tell you from personal experience, you know, you can't sleep on this thing. It is comfy enough, but now it does, you're like,
That is the
oh, no.
bounciest floor I've ever stepped on.
Well, see, this is how I like to transition with this floor, right? Because this floor is like walking on the moon.
It is.
Well, Dad's music's been to the moon and back. He's actually the first music played on the moon. Went on Apollo 14, fourth manned mission to it, third one to actually make it there. You can see that flag on Lieutenant Colonel Roos's spacesuit. That's him up at the top bringing that flag and another one back to Dad. For, like I said, they took Dad's music with him to make him the first played on the moon. So what was cool about that is, you know, like other artists did send like their newest album or their newest single, newest release they had at the time. What Dad actually did is he went to the studio, he recorded a cassette tape of about 8 songs, and well, I wish I could tell you every track. It basically, you know, he'll play a song and then he goes, hey guys, we know you're a long way from home, so here's another one for you.
Oh, so he did something really special for them.
Yeah, man.
And they listened to it up there?
Absolutely. To, from, and on, I guess.
That is so cool. This room is riddled with success.
Right, I really wish we had the room for all of it. Like, honestly, you know, people think we're turning our house into a museum just because we've opened it up for tours. I mean, it's not really the case. We would have to build a museum to display everything that my dad has or been given between awards and fan mail and, you know, honors from the States, and it's just wild.
And is this a key to the city, kind
The
of?
city jail, actually, of Nashville, Tennessee. We have some keys to the city right there. And you can come up with a reason why the keys of the city are given to anybody, but the jailhouse key? I don't have any good reason why we have the jail key.
They wanted him to be able to get out on his own.
Right? Like, well, Jay, it's nice to have you again. Just go ahead and leave when you want to.
You're still a great ball of fire.
I just can't imagine how the mayor of Nashville at the time signed off on that. They're like, yeah, let's give Jerry the jailhouse key.
So this is the couch right here.
Right there, yeah, absolutely. We took that album cover, 94, I believe it was. We went and sat our family couch out right in front of the...
Where we were just at.
Yeah, absolutely. And we sat that down, and he's about a half step from being in the lake, so thankfully it didn't knock over, but...
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine just tipping over?
One tip.
Yeah, dude, I mean, it's there. Like, it is just balanced enough.
This is the Riot Fest jacket, isn't it?
Yeah, man, so Riot Fest was a really cool show. I mean, you know, if you don't know about Riot Fest, I mean, it is a heavy metal festival in Chicago, Illinois. That show was just such an amazing time. You know, we got there, you know, artists from, or, you know, they're coming to the backstage, say hey to him, you know, Jay, we're glad you're here. But, you know, when we're getting ready to go on stage, Dad's wearing that jacket, it's all buttoned up, he's tightened up, like, I mean, he's as straight laced as you can get. I'm talking to him, like, right, we're about to walk out the trailer. I'm like, Dad, you know, this might be the show you don't have to be so, you know, straightened up for. He said, boy, don't worry about me. I got this. I was like, all right, Dad. So, you know, we go out on stage, and, you know, like I was telling y'all earlier, you know, when Dad walks out on the stage right now, he's got that, you know, he's got his cane, he's walking out, and so I think a lot of people are, you know, man, is he okay? Or, you know, what's about to happen? And he gets out on that stage, and he straightens himself up. He throws that jacket off. He untucks his shirt, he opens it up a little bit more. People are going crazy. At this point, I mean, literally, fans are getting thrown over the banisters at this point. and the Riot Fest security, they've got to be the most professional security on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
Here they come, man. One's coming over. Oh, gotcha. Hey, exits that way. Oh, another one? Yeah, no problem. Exits that way. And,
Crowd surfers.
yeah, man, it was wild, and there was this one dude, I think his name's Nick, I'm friends with him on Facebook now. He had made a post on Reddit called Jerry Lee Lewis Mosh Pit Committee to get a mosh pit out at the Jerry Lee show. And here he was with his sign that said Jerry Lee Lewis Mosh Pit Committee, and there they were, and they were going, man.
Doing the circle pit?
Yeah, man, it was awesome. I think we got a video of it on our Facebook page. It was so cool.
Circle pit, wall of
Yeah,
death.
man, it was so wild. Dad said, he was like, man, I don't think I played a show like that since the 60s. It was really cool.
As we were discussing earlier, your dad just was in the studio.
Yeah, he just was in the studio. You know, he's working on a gospel album right now, or was, or still is working on it. He just, let's see, like 2, maybe not even 3 months ago.
Trying to get back into Bible college?
Yeah, right. Trying to sneak his way back in. That's the thing, man. You know, Dad's history and career, like, you know, he can preach the Bible to you. He can quote verses to you just like that, like that. And you know, he definitely could have been a preacher if he hadn't gotten kicked out of Bible college.
What I was preaching and what I thought was right and was studying, I wasn't really living up to exactly what I was preaching, so I had to go one way or the other, so I chose rock and roll.
But if he didn't get kicked out of Bible college, what would music be like today?
Right, that's another thing to think about too, right? Like if Jerry Lee had never gotten out of Bible college, or if he had just stayed there and became a pastor, like, not to say he still wouldn't have an extraordinary career, right? But where would music be today? Like, would it still be the same? Because it probably wouldn't be.
Just around when your dad got started, that's when Buddy Holly and they all.
I mean, you think like Dad and Buddy, and I'll show y'all some pictures too of the concert when Dad and Buddy went to New Zealand and Australia together, and they were on tour in like 1958 before Buddy passed. When Dad talks about him, you can tell just how good of friends they were, man. Like they really connected on some other level, and you know, even today when he talks about it, you can still say where Dad's not really over Buddy being gone. You think about Dad, or like the $1 Million Quartet, Dad, Elvis, and Johnny and Carl, and you know, in Sun Studios, right? Sun is just the smallest little building in Memphis, Tennessee. Who would have ever thought in the world that people like I said, like those guys, or Ike and Tina Turner, and B.B. King, and all these people other than the $1 Million Quartet go through that small little recording studio. It didn't happen 10 years ago, it didn't happen 20 years ago, it doesn't happen today, but it happened then, and literally all those monsters of music was in that same little building. They changed the world. You know, Elvis left and Dad started really rocking, and then obviously he had his own issues with things that kind of polished his career for a little bit, but like we talked about outside, man, he never stopped. And that's the one thing he'll tell artists and people today they're trying to get going. The moment you stop is the moment they forget about you, and he never stopped.
Well, I sometimes think maybe I might have changed a few things if I could go back.
No.
But no.
That is just a great story, man. It blows my mind how music evolves.
I mean, you look at Great Balls of Fire, right? And I mean, that sold 1 million copies in 10 days in 1958, I believe it is. Think about that, it's what, 100,000 records a day in 1958?
All being pumped out of Memphis.
Smashing vinyl, you know, pushing it out, you know, like
that's
it's easy to hit with revenue streams and things like that today, but in 58, like,
Well, that's only using radio
Yeah.
as your backing plate.
the Steve Allen Show, like Dad's first appearance on TV, and you know, the Ed Sullivan Show, things he did, like without shows like that and without the radio content they had then, I mean, how would they have got the music out? So it's amazing to me to think that he was able to push out that many records in such a short amount of time when literally
media
yeah,
outlet
exactly, the
that he
technology
had.
at the time just didn't even support it, but they did it,
It exploded.
and it changed the world.
I play piano and I'm sitting here looking at this. Was this a piano that was...
So that's a really, really cool piano. It's a 1973 Wurlitzer. It's one of the first electric pianos ever made, right? And so the way it produces sound is it has strings and tuning forks inside of it. So even if it's not plugged in, you can actually play it. It doesn't really sound great, but you amp it.
It's
It sound, you know, you amp it. It sounds amazing. So what Dad would do is he would keep this in the back of his Cadillac, and he'd come in from off tour or wherever he'd fly back into Memphis from, and more often than not, apparently, he would go down to Hernando's Hideaway or the Vapors Club, and they'd unload that piano, and it didn't really matter who was playing that day because it was now the Jerry Lee Show, and he would play until they closed for him.
And he would just do that for fun?
Yeah, man, he would just do that for fun. That's not even the paid stuff he would do. He'd come in, like normally the way he would say it to me is he would come in from a show, and if he just felt like going to keep hanging out or keep playing, he'd just take the piano on down to the club because they know they put him on stage to hang out.
So it gave him that opportunity to have a piano at his fingertips.
Yeah, absolutely.
At his whim.
That's the thing even today, right? Like no matter where we are, whether it's here or the other house, there's almost a keyboard of some kind under every bed, and there's a piano in almost every other room.
That is awesome.
I showed him one of those roll-out keyboards that they just came out with. You know, they roll out the pad and you can, like, you know, move the things. And I was showing him that. He was like, what on God's green earth is this? I was like, Dad, this is a new piano. He was like, oh man, ain't no piano.
He said no.
He's very particular about his piano. Like, it's not to say he wouldn't play a different piano at a show, but when he wants his piano, he wants his piano. And if you don't get the piano he's looking for, which is a Yamaha type piano, he'll sit down at a show and be like, well, looks like they got me another crap piano. It's okay, I'll take care of it, don't worry.
He still does his thing.
You don't have to
This
call
is too much fun, y'all. No cops. We don't need the party poopers here.
Right? They've been out here several times. They partied themselves out here, so
Yeah, I'm sure they've had a few reasons why to come out.
I'm sure they have.
You know, you with the name with the killer.
Uh-huh. Absolutely, man. You want to know how he got that nickname? Because any legend you've heard is way cooler than how he actually got it.
Okay.
So, him and Cecil Harrelson, which was his best friend for the longest time, I mean, like I said, Lord rest his soul too, but they were leaving the schoolyard one day because they had both gotten in trouble and got kicked out of class, and he didn't really know Cecil at the time, but they're leaving, and Cecil goes, you know, see you later, killer. And that's stuck since like the 5th grade.
Oh, man.
Old record for $1 Million Quartet right there. You actually won't see that in very many places. Like, you won't see it when you're down at Graceland, to be honest with you. You will see the gold CD of $1 Million Quartet down at Graceland, which we should have hanging right next to our record, but we don't. So I wish I could tell you where our CD is or where Elvis's record is, but the only way I know to see both is to go from here to there or there to here.
I think we picked the best place, man.
Yeah, man, that's gotta be like the 3 greatest piano players of all time. Just one photo. Right? Those were cool guys, man. I mean, Ronnie, obviously, you know, Ronnie and Paul still around, but the other two, man, they were cool guys. That's old Whistler, Chris Christopherson, one of Dad's best friends. I mean, literally only God knows how long those dudes have been friends for, and I can accurately say that because I've asked them, and neither one of them could tell me when they met. So that's what I go with. But to paraphrase this letter to Dad, it basically says, hey Jerry, I feel really silly sending you this picture of me without my shirt on. But Jim, the guy who took the photo, Jim Marshall, he tells me he's going to send me one of you without your shirt on.
Oh.
So I guess it's okay. He got that photo too. And then my dad is the professor of rock and roll at the University of Memphis. However, it's an invitation he has never accepted.
He hasn't gone there.
No, he hasn't gone to go teach a class yet. And I'll tell you my first piano lesson in just a second. But I wanted to make sure y'all know, or if you didn't know, you know, he doesn't read music of any kind. You can play him a song and he will play it right back to you. But as far as like reading sheet music, that's not a thing. So I had been learning piano when I was much younger, and which is why it was funny when you said the Star Wars theme, because I had learned the Star Wars theme.
Really?
And so I sat down with Dad, and he was like, well, show me what you know how to do. And so I'm getting into that, and he said, stop, we're done here.
Wasn't good enough, huh?
So this is the quickest piano lesson I've ever had in my life. I play bass guitar, so I don't know if that is exactly how he would give every lesson if he went down to the university, but he is the professor nonetheless.
So you play bass. Do you play by ear?
No, I don't play by ear, man. I gotta learn the song and then I can play with it. I have a talent, but it's not his talent. So.
Talent. God-given talent.
And like I said, I mean, we're not trying to turn our music museum, but there are only so many ways to play like guns and knives safely. That's portable. That is portable.
Guys, we just went down the hallway here that we can't take you down, but I can tell you this, that whole entire hallway is filled to the gills with history. We went into the killer's bedroom. I can't even begin to describe how rock star that is. The man's wallpaper is piano notes. How cool is that?
I don't remember much from this party down in Graceland. I was only like 3 or 4 when it happened. This was back in 5, it was in 94. But what I do remember is Dad and Charlie Rich came to do a drinking contest. Dad was able to walk out. There's that original gold 45 of Breathless that Sam Phillips would have given my dad when that went gold. And a great shot of Dad and Aunt Linda playing You Are My Sunshine right here on his piano as we come in the room.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray.
Jerry Lee Lewis is a YouTuber also, I guess.
Yeah, he's done a couple videos.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. Like and subscribe, Jerry Lee.
Can I sit on the bench?
You can. Like I told Goose, he can play it too.
Oh, I want to play so bad.
That's a rule though, you know, that's why I don't get to touch the piano, because you gotta be able to play it to sit on it. So,
You gonna stand?
There you go.
That does it forever. Thank you. Last one. Let's bro.
At Jerry Lee Lewis's house. Who's Wayne was here.
That screwed it up.
Boo.
Excuse me, sir. Let me show you how it's done.
You ready to laugh?
You chopstick.
Nope. Nope, can't do it.
This is on film, isn't it? Excuse me.
Crow, you know how to play?
I can play Curly's.
Let's hear it.
I feel like I was about to sit down and blow all this away.
I know, this is what
Like, y'all
happens.
get out of the way.
The one quiet guy in the room, and he sits down and it's done. He wins.
It's been 20-something years since I played piano.
I thought it was the greatest thing I ever heard. And still do.
So who all is sat at this bar, man?
Man, so that's a good question. I can tell you, like, from my experience of things, you know, like Gary Busey's been out here, Carl Perkins used to hang out here all the time. My dad's friend Glenn, he tells this cool story of how Johnny Cash was laid out on the bar one time. I don't, you know, it may be true.
I could see
the
that,
way
though.
the way he tells it is probably a true story. But you know, we've had a lot of good times out here. You know, we have our Christmas out here, our Thanksgiving. You know, the dining room table that's in there. I had my first birthday at, so we still have everybody's birthday for the most part at that table. But yeah, man, as far as people out here, everybody's been out here that you can. I mean, you think of somebody, they've probably been out here to be honest.
So,
That is awesome.
Steven Tyler.
Yeah, Steve Tyler's been out here. They was just kind of like come through. They said hey to Dad. They're in Memphis, and then they left. You know, Mick Jagger and Stones have been out here. Most recently, you know, Marty Stewart and Steve Azar were out here for the Country Music Trail dedication, which was really cool. Really cool. So, like, you know, if you watch that video, Dad and Marty are sitting right there with Governor Phil Bryant, Mississippi, and I'm right here on the bench sitting with Miss Connie, Connie Smith, Marty's wife.
We're going to put you in the Country Music Hall of Fame. It's the last thing we do.
And we're sitting here and they start singing Dad's title track of his 71 album, Touching Home. And so they're singing it now. You know, everybody in the room's tapping their foot. I mean, things like that don't happen outside the South, man.
'Cause today I can feel it touching home.
So let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
What is one, like, favorite moment you had of your childhood with your dad?
Man.
Like,
So,
just
that's
something
tough.
that,
That's
you know,
tough. I mean,
sticks out.
one of the, this may not be my most favorite moment, but it's definitely one thing that sticks out to me because it's a story that's happened more than once in my dad's life with Chuck Berry. We were on tour with Chuck and Little Richard, and it was like the Three Kings of Rock and Roll tour. My dad was contracted to close all the shows out, and my dad is very particular about that. He likes to close the show, man. You know, Dad's got a kind of particular ego with that, so he wants to close the show. I don't know what it was, but the show producer came to us. I forget where we were, but they were like, "Hey Jerry, Chuck really wants to close this show. Like, whatever the town was or something, he just really wanted to close it." And Dad was like, "Yeah, that's cool. It's not happening though." They were like, "Well, Jerry, we're sorry you feel that way, but he's gonna close the show." And he's like, "All right, we'll see how that works out." And so Dad bucked up and he went and played the middle set. And you know, the thing about my dad is he doesn't do encores for the most part. When he goes out there, he plays his show. He's done. He feels like he's giving you as much as he can give you.
Right.
Well, he gets up from the stage, and there's me and my mom, and we're standing, you know, waiting for him to come off the stage. And here's Chuck and his band next to us because they're waiting to go on. And Dad stops. He goes, "I got one more." And he goes back to the piano, and he plays the most insane version of Johnny B. Good I have ever heard. So here's Chuck on the side of the stage, like,
He's playing Chuck
That
Berry's
was it.
song.
You know what that was? That was
yeah. He's like, I'm gonna show you how we do this. And so he came off the stage. He's like, "All right, Chuck, you got him."
Follow that, killer.
That's rock star right there.
that is
And in saying that, you know, you might think that Dad and Chuck were enemies, man. They were two of the closest friends. They had a really good rivalry, but, you know, things like that, Dad was mad, and he was going to show that he was mad, so he did what he thought he needed to do. Just to go back into the concert side of things, I mean, I was with him a long time before, like, you know, the state was basically like, are you going to put this kid in school? Like, he's got to go to school. So, I'd be, you know, going on tour for a long time. I didn't realize, you know, what that meant, or like what Dad meant to the world, especially at a young age. I was just like, my dad's just a really great artist, and I knew he was famous, but I didn't realize that this man helped build an art form. And then, you know, you get, you know, a little later in life, and you're sitting in college, and your music appreciation teacher throws the book on the desk and opens it up to the $1 Million Quartet, and he's like, man, this is your week, right? I'm like, what?
Yeah, so what's it like going to school, learning about the achievements of your father and the men that he worked with, and like, that's my dad.
Did you ever have to correct them and say,
Most of the time, but yeah, like, yes, no. I mean, y'all know the history books don't always get everything exactly right. We'd be talking about things and, you know, talk about like how Elvis left son, or, you know, why Dad did this, or why the other guys did these things. I'm like, that's not the way I heard that story, and I heard it from Sam Phillips. So like, I don't know how this got printed. Like, you know what I mean?
I couldn't imagine sitting in a classroom and having somebody tell me what my dad.
It was pretty wild. Like, that was really when my head probably turned over the most.
You're like,
wow. But all of those guys had just insane background stories. They all came from nothing, you know. When you think about my dad and our family, you know, my dad and my papa, you know, that's sharecroppers, right? You know, they were picking cotton when they were young. And my Aunt Linda, if you see this video, you tell the story way better than I ever could. Let me just preface it with that. But Aunt Linda tells the story of the day my dad got to stop picking cotton. Aunt Linda, she asked Mama Lewis, well, Mama, why doesn't Jerry have to be out here anymore? And she says something along the lines of, baby, you know, he's got the kind of hands that are going to make money one day, so we can't have his hands get hurt. Like I said, I know you tell that story way better than I do.
What's your favorite song?
Great Balls of Fire. Actually, that's probably not true. That's probably my second favorite song. Louis Boogie is probably my favorite song. It's like our national anthem. Dad wrote that song, you know. It's a great song, and when he plays it at a show, I take my hat off and open my heart. I'm like, yeah, that's the anthem, man. There's not a song closer to us than that one.
Do your little boogie woogie every day?
That's right.
That's right.
Because of Louis Boogie, Louis way, I like to do my boogie woogie every day, yeah.
Only place I've seen this many gold records at is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. And you just go in here and you are surrounded by success and gold records. Holy smokes. And this is where the family just comes in and does their living. And they're playing. It just seems like every time I look up, I'm seeing something different. This is too neat, man.
Coca-Cola wallpaper?
Yes.
Yeah, man, you gotta have something to match this red sea.
We did a video at the house that Coca-Cola built. The guy who invented the shape of the Coke bottle.
Yeah, man.
Solid.
Yeah, we
told you. Like between this sink, this oven, that stovetop, man, that's all original to the house. I mean, that's gotta be like the first electric flat top stove.
Right.
Not many hoods will tell you how to cook food these days.
300,000.
Tells you what
So that's
temperature
like
to cook
2 million or something
pancakes
these
at.
days.
It's sold for
And wieners.
Would you be interested in shooting a gun before we leave?
Absolutely. You got any earphones? I don't think my headphones are here.
I have you covered.
I love it. I can't hear now. Alright, you guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Now, we have been invited to come back.
We became friends with the Lewis family. And I'm fairly sure that we're related somewhere.
What? Colonial genealogy,
Right? Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a hold of my dad about that.
You guys got a lot of things in common. In the hallway that we couldn't go down with the camera because of privacy reasons and respect reasons, there are pictures that me, Juan, and the eyeballs.
Looks just like their cousin.
Find out, you guys. You come in here, it's not so much like a starstruck feeling, but it's more like a sense of awe that you're just surrounded with all of this pioneered music history that made rock and roll what it is today. Somehow, somewhere along the lines, rock and roll was great and turned into what is this? When it was great, it was because of this man.
We have showed
That's
you
all I can
every
say.
square inch of this house that we're allowed to film.
If you come out here on a tour, maybe he might be able to take you to some of the places that we went to. It was really cool.
Get to shoot gun.
Who does that? Who shoots guns at a rock star? The Savage Squad does it one day. Bring him ourselves, face to face, welcoming us into his home. The sky's the limit of what's next, you guys. We do this for you because we love you guys. So go out, live your life,
Love yourself.
we'll see you on the next adventure.
Peace.